right, it's summer, tomatoes are in season, and it's hot outside. It's time that we make a dish called gazpacho avocado, gazpacho avocopus dopa capa sapa cachomadado. Gazpacho avocado. Hopefully one of those stuck. What is gazpacho? Gazpacho is sort of like a cold tomato soup. Instead of putting egg to thicken up my gazpacho, because I have friends that are vegans and vegetarians, I use breadcrumbs. I don't really care if it's authentic or not because it works and it means more people can enjoy the food that I'm making. I have some breadcrumbs for some sourdough that I made a long time ago here. You can also buy breadcrumbs or just use bread you got at the store. Cherry tomatoes, and the reason I choose cherry tomatoes here is that you can get them any time of year and you can generally find ones that taste sweet and fresh. Sherry vinegar. Sherry vinegar is the vinegar to use inside of gazpacho. I don't care what anyone says, it tastes the best. To me, whatever else you put in gazpacho, it's gotta have salt, tomatoes, and sherry vinegar. A mild chili here, Anaheim chili is a go-to one that you can get at your store. This happens to be from Alex's grandpa's garden. Some garlic, some onion, salt, pepper, and the best olive oil that you are willing to find. You just need olive oil that you like the taste of raw. If you would dip bread in it and it tastes delicious, use that olive oil. And then finally, the avocado. Now the avocado we're not gonna blend into the gazpacho. The avocado is gonna be, well, you'll see. So I popped some stuff aside here. We can take a look at this food processor. Now, I wouldn't recommend a blender because that'll just totally pulverize the bread and you'll end up with bread powder. Getting our breadcrumbs in the food processor. I don't normally measure this, but this is about a cup of breadcrumb. It's a little more than a cup, to be honest. It's more like a cup and a half. Now I'm going to pulse these guys. All right. I actually kind of like the mix of bigger bits and smaller bits. It adds interest and texture. If it's too perfect, then it doesn't look like it was made by a real person. And I do have a little bit of bread dust in here, but I'm gonna pretend like I didn't say that was a bad thing because it's gonna work out okay. I'm gonna pour this back in the bowl. And this is an optional step, but I'm gonna toss a little bit of thyme in here. I don't know, I'm like a thyme freak.
So whatever would go good with tomato, pepper, onion, garlic.
Time and time again. We'll get about a tablespoon of olive oil in here, and we will turn on our heat to a medium, and then bring over some salt and pepper. You just hear very gentle sizzle. You'll stir them around a little bit, and you're gonna have a delicious set of toasty breadcrumbs. All right, I'm gonna take a little taste here, see what we got. Okay, the salt level's right, and it's starting to get real crispy. If it's just barely chewy, then it gets that stale feeling. That's what stale is. Stale means has barely any moisture in it. If something's really moist, it's nice because it's fluffy. If it's totally dry, it's nice because it's crunchy. But if it has a tiny, tiny bit amount of moisture in it, that's what makes that stale texture. We've got a deep brown color on our breadcrumbs. I'm gonna call it. Let's prepare some vegetables to put in the gazpacho. Is this medium or is this kind of large?
Probably just medium large.
If you get yourself a large onion, then you can cut it in quarters. We're just gonna use a quarter of an onion for this. I cut straight down through the center, then do it again. I'm just gonna cut off the ends and remove the outer skin. And just to help the food processor out a little bit, cut it in a few little rough chunks here. Here we go, we got some onion ready now. Don't use spicy chilies for this, so use an Anaheim pepper or something like that. Not a bell pepper though, bell peppers are gross. Cut off the top, remove the core, slice it vertically down here, rinse off any additional seeds that are in there. I'm just gonna cut it a couple times. Clove of garlic. Now, if you have a big chunky piece of garlic, just one. If you have a normal clove of garlic, you want 2 of these. The garbage disposal. The food processor will do the rest of the work for you. And now we're ready to go. Heck, you know what? Let's do it the easy way. Let's just dump everything in there. Here's a pound of our cherry tomatoes, garlic, onion, and pepper. And a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I mean, what do you think I'm gonna make healthy food? So you're gonna start with 1 tablespoon of sherry vinegar. You get out of there. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 2 twists of pepper. Chances are it's your first time using sherry vinegar. It's not a very common ingredient, even though it's pretty easy to find. It is the only useful way to do anything with sherry. And then finally, let's get a 1/4 cup of our breadcrumbs. Now when you start with this, you don't want to just hit it on solid on. You want to pulse till it gets chopped up more evenly and then turn it on. So let's do that. It looks like a salsa right now, kind of chunky. So let's push down the sides. So after pulsing that for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, depending on the tomatoes you have, it'll be somewhere between what does this remind you of?
Kind of like brick color almost.
Yeah, like a brick color. And now it's time to taste it and see what we got. If it doesn't taste rich enough for you, add more olive oil. If it doesn't taste salty enough for you, add more salt. If it doesn't taste funky enough for you, add more sherry vinegar. So I'm gonna add another ½ teaspoon of salt, and I'm gonna add another ½ tablespoon of sherry vinegar. Oh, that's it. Some people push this through cheesecloth or a chinois. I like fiber, so I'm gonna keep it in there. When you hit 30, you start needing to eat your fiber. And if you've never cut an avocado before, here's a way to do it. Push the knife down until you get to the seed, and be very careful when you do this because you obviously don't want to cut through to your finger. And then just rotate the avocado around. Sometimes like I missed by, 1/8 inch, you can just lean in and get it. Twist, and now you'll have 2 halves of an avocado. I do the knife thwack method, which is apparently how people cut themselves. So if you choose to do this method, just be very careful. Just tap with a very sharp knife the seed, and then you can rotate it, and it will come right out of the avocado. Do not grab the seed with your hand from here. With your thumb, just push down on the seed and it'll pop off the knife. And voila, you didn't cut off your thumb. Take a spoon that should be roughly the size of the avocado, and you stick it in between the skin of the avocado and the flesh. Press around and just scoop it out. We're gonna take the avocado and we're gonna coat it with breadcrumbs all over. Make sure that you get it in there and that we stuff it. We'll put it in the center of our bowl. And I'm gonna do 2 of these since I'm making one for myself and Alex. And we'll give him a little extra breadcrumb love there. And get yourself one of these. It's called a big spoon. Spoon gazpacho all around, making a nice little gazpacho moat. Yeah. Shake it around to even out the distribution. It looks like something out of the 1950s. There's something we can do to really up the game here. Be right back. So I have some microgreens that were in the fridge from something else I was working on. Baby arugula in this case, but any little greens will do. You just give it a little bit of a touch on top, and look how gourmet it is now. This is probably the most elaborate plating job I've ever done. Oh crap, well, may as well do it on the other one so it looks like it was done on purpose. All right, perfect. Do a little bit of olive oil around the side. And then for the coup de grace is this finishing flaky salt. Just kind of like doo-doo-doo. We can just keep going with this, guys. Breadcrumbs on the outside so that you have like a texture, and it brings everything together. I mean, look how pretty that is. We actually even have some toast here, so we're just gonna put that in. Oh man, let's take a taste of this. So I'm gonna smear that onto some toast. Oh, I'm so clumsy. Oh, let's eat that. That's really good. It's rich because of the olive oil and the avocado. It's crunchy because of the breadcrumbs. It's chewy because of the toasty stuff. And it's bright as hell because of the gazpacho. It's just a great way to take a nice, bright summer dish and just make it super rich so you don't feel as good eating it anymore. So yeah, make some gazpacho avocado. I'm stripping time. Oh yeah. What if I had told everyone the terrible secret, Alex? You know, the one that I never want to say by mistake. Tongs just couldn't let it be. They just really wanted to be along for the ride, but it's not your day, buddy. Ooh, we could do a heart. It's a heart. Oh God, so cute, so good. No, I'm not doing that.